there's a lot of hype when it comes to being a YouTuber or heck, even becoming a content creator. People watch all these screenshots online of how much money you can make, but many people just simply don't know that there's a process to actually being able to make that amount of money. There's a level of consistency that you got to do. There's certain strategies that you got to execute on. There's certain things that you don't need to do. And I've been a YouTuber for, I would say, the better part of about 4.5 years, maybe five if I'm thinking back far enough. But if I'm going to be honest, even back in the day before I even entered the workforce, I had YouTube accounts where I would just talk about random stuff. But that's the part that we tend to forget about. At least I forget about. The videos weren't that good. But there's a huge trend in becoming a content creator and making money online, both full-time and part-time. That's why I'm looking very much forward to bringing on someone that can assist the audience in doing just that. He's been a very big influence on my YouTube career and a great mentor. His name is Roberto Blake. He's the founder of Awesome Creator Academy and has been in the YouTube world for a very, very, very long time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into today's episode of the Side Hustler Society podcast. I'm your host, Elijah, and let's get started.
Welcome to the Side Hustler Society podcast with your host, Elijah Bilel. This is where you can find out more about hustles that are best for you and, of course, make more money in the process. Elijah has been in the gig economy and freelance space for over 5 years and has done over 3,000 deliveries on Uber Eats. He's an Airbnb superhost, runs multiple YouTube channels, and is the author of the best-selling book, The Anatomy of Financial Success. It's his mission to empower people with the tools needed to be successful. Now, welcome your host, the king of side hustles, Elijah Bilel.
Okay, so Roberto Blake is the creator of over 1,000 educational videos for inspiring entrepreneurs and creative professionals, and is the founder of the Roberto Blake podcast. He has reached millions and inspired them to embrace their creative and ambition through actionable advice, both in his content and speaking engagements. In 2021 alone, he made over $408,000 as a YouTuber. Roberto is also the founder of Awesome Creator Academy, where he educates and motivates small business owners and content creators and helps them in building their brands and businesses. He is also the author of the upcoming book, Create Something Awesome: How Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy. He is known for his direct and transparent way of teaching education-based content with a strong motivational message of empowerment. So with that being said, let's welcome Roberto Blake to the stream.
Brought my own cheering section.
That works. And just a little inside joke. Y'all won't know because there'll be a cutout in editing later. But that's what happens when you're running real fast. I recorded the intro prior to the show, and there was a little hiccups, but that's just an inside joke. How you doing, Roberto?
It's all good. I'm doing great, Elijah. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, create something awesome, rather, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Book is out August 22nd, if anyone wants to pick that up.
Most definitely, and I highly recommend it. In fact, we're going to get into some of that in today's interview. But
Sure.
Roberto, as you know, a lot of people are really wanting to become content creators, but there's just some ambiguity on how to make this successful. Whether they want to do it part-time or full-time. So I want to ask you, because a lot of people want to hear like the creator's journey from the source. Like, when did you start becoming a content creator? And overall, what's your journey been like?
I mean, I've technically been a creator my whole life. If you really think about it, I was drawing before I could ever walk. And I know that sounds cliche and it's like, oh, here we go. Here's the BS backstory. But, here's the BS fake guru backstory. But no, seriously, I actually was always creatively ambitious and talented in the fact that almost everyone in my family has artistic talent and gifts. But I saw that nobody was, a full-time creative professional. They lived for their nights and weekends to do photography, drawing, painting, sculpting. My family's wildly creative, but no one made it a full-time income until me. And so that was always my ambition, was I'm going to be the one that makes it. So there's a family background there. And I think a lot of people take for granted that one of the foundations of your success really comes from your roots and the way that you're raised. And I had a good foundation, the fact that, my mom was really my biggest cheerleader, and she always encouraged me. She always bought me art supplies and things like that. My father was a military man. He was much more practical. Sports and discipline were a big thing in my household. So I'm the son of a Marine and a nurse. So structure, discipline, those things matter. I'm wildly creative. I'm an ADHD kid, so the structure was essential to getting the best out of me. And I'm also a first-generation American from an immigrant family. I'm Panamanian, I'm Caribbean Latino. So there are cultural aspects to my personality and my dynamics and the way that I was raised, the way that I was taught, and also the way that I was cultivated and groomed for success, and the idea of being competitive and, taking pride in where you come from and not being less than and striving. And I think that also being early as a kid into sports also teaches you good citizenship, teaches you discipline, but it also teaches you that competitiveness doesn't have to be bad, or it doesn't have to be combativeness. And, regardless of how you win or lose, that your character and how you represent yourself, your family, and your team is important. Those lessons carry on to entrepreneurship. So I feel my creative journey has been in progress since the day that I was born, honestly, and I genuinely feel that way. And I think where it comes from is the fact that I have acted according to my actual nature. I am a creative person. I can't breathe if I'm not doing something that is stimulating me creatively. And I was determined to find a way to make it work and work for me. So I originally wanted, I guess, to be an illustrator and animator, which I think came down to I wanted to do the things that I took so much happiness as a kid from coming home and watching, cartoons and movies and television shows that inspired me, motivated me, made me feel less alone, and all these different things. And I also enjoyed watching a lot of these things with my family. I enjoyed watching them with my parents, my younger siblings. And so the idea that, well, maybe I can create things that bring people joy one day too, was kind of what I believe I was thinking at the time. When I became a teenager, I had taught myself to code at 13 while I was taking care of my siblings over the summer. This is after my parents were divorced. I was watching my siblings while my mom's at work over the summer. But I'm not mad that I can't go outside all the time and go to the pool with my friends and all that, because I'm at home on the internet superhighway on AOL having a blast and teaching myself how to code, because I'm like, oh, I want to build websites are so cool. Websites are so cool. What if I could build them? And so then I taught myself web design, taught myself graphic design with Paint Shop Pro. Remember Paint Shop Pro? And there used to be this thing, ULED Photo Impact. This is back in the late 90s. So there's not even a lot of open source software and free stuff. There's no Canva. There's none of that nonsense. So there's none of this stuff that's, everything's free. No, that wasn't the case back then.
So we're spoiled, the modern day content creator.
Y'all kids are spoiled. Back in my day, we didn't have anything. You kids are spoiled. Back in my day, there was no such thing as free web hosting. It was called 25 megabits on angelfire.com.
Oh, gosh.
Age of Fire, Lycos, GeoCities, Excite forums. This was how I lived, and so I did that. The technology improved by the time I got to high school. By the time I got out of high school, I went to community college for graphic design advertising so that I could use my skills in a way that would make me not a starving artist, because I realized, I probably am not talented enough to work at Disney or Marvel. I need to do something practical. So I got it into my head in 2002 that was every company in America will need a website one day. So graphic and web design it is. Online banner ads are becoming a thing. I'm seeing them on every website. It's like commercials on TV. I bet you there's money in it. I'm thinking this is a duh to everybody listening. I'm thinking this in 2002. YouTube's not even invented yet. Google is new. Yahoo is the dominant search engine in the world at this time.
Oh gosh. Back when that was a thing. Okay.
Yeah. Back in my day. So like literally back in my day. So like people have to remember how much people take for granted how much the world has transformed over the last 20 years. They really do. And someone who's 38, someone who graduated high school 20 years ago, I look back and I go, it's a whole new world. And people really take it for granted, and they don't understand how the internet and technology evolved, and they take it for granted every day like it was here all along. This is alien. This is science fiction. We're living through science fiction every damn day. So I look at that and I see that there was no opportunities back then that there are now, and the capacity for earning is wildly different. So I mean, that's kind of the start. That's where like I came from. And I obviously eventually would go to work in the field of graphic design and web design at a company. Later, I'd go work at an ad agency, go on to be a marketing manager. And so I left that career behind about like 10 years ago to full-time freelancer, and that would evolve into being a creative entrepreneur and then what people refer to as a content creator.
Oh, that's quite the origin story. Yeah. And I want to call you out on being psychic, since you literally saw things then it happened years later, and you were able to capitalize on that.
It's you could say that I was psychic, but it's more that I was observant. It was more that I was just observant. It's that I understood these things and I was playing with them every day, and that's the difference. And it's the same thing with the creator economy and with YouTube. People are like, oh, you're really like, a genius, or you understand this stuff, or I would never think of that. Even people with millions of subscribers that I talk to, there's things they don't think of. And the difference is what we're paying attention to, because we're in different positions. I lean heavily on my ability to observe things and then to intuit them and to suss them out and then to play with them and pick them apart. And I do this over long periods of time, and I'm very introverted. So as an introverted person, I'm highly analytical, highly introspective, and highly neurotic. So it's just my psychology. And then with ADHD, I have hyperprocessing. So when you combine those traits, I'm able to quantify and speculate on outcomes and then do determinations in my head very rapidly and come to some conclusions that for me are obvious and for other people have to be proven out over a period of time. But I'm anticipating the variables. I'm looking at these things. I'm observing them. I'm basically just looking at, hey, that's where the ball is going. That's all I do. I just look at where the ball is going, and I just decide to be there. That's all.
Nice. And that's a very, would you say a very key element to that is the ability to focus? Because a lot of people take their content creation endeavors kind of lightly, just thinking that I can pay partial attention to this and still have like success. But those that really nail down and focus on things really are the ones that are successful. Would you say that?
I'd agree with a lot of that. I think of things very organically. I mean, people, you could just plant something and then you could leave it all to chance, right? This is why some people believe in luck. I don't believe in luck. This is philosophically, I don't believe in luck. And people then accuse me of arrogance or ego because of it, and that's fine. But what I will tell you is that successful people who talk about luck are largely either one, they cannot or do not want to articulate the process by which their success happened and then point out the necessary conditions that have to be recreated for that, and then talk about how likely or how difficult it is or simple it is to recreate those conditions and give you a process, because that goes over most people's heads. It's wildly boring, and everything is in their best interest to just tell you they got lucky, because one, you instantly become considered humble, you're more likable, and more of your flaws, which you will have and they'll be obvious, will be forgiven because you displayed some form of humility and because you've showed, oh, see, I don't think you're better, I'm better than you. And see, for some people it's sincere, and for the other half of people, they're literally just lying and manipulating you to be more likable, which is fine because everyone tries to be liked. That's fine. I don't have the patience for that. And it's not that I'm radically just automatically more honest than other people. I just don't see the point in ignoring observable, measurable, verifiable realities, because what I will tell you is there is no situation that isn't improved by good character, good judgment, preparation, and courage. There's no situation that is not improved by those four things. And there's no situation that is not made worse by the lack of them. So those are the things that I do believe matter, because why leave it to chance? If you are leaving things to chance, then you're not acting intentionally. And since most people do live their lives leaving things to chance, Elijah, since most people do not act intentionally in their life, they don't act intentionally in their health. Of course, they don't have washboard abs. They don't have washboard abs. They didn't intentionally decide to build their best body and treat it like a temple and respect it. Of course, people are not getting wild, outrageous test scores or don't have tremendous abilities because, well, how many books did they read? And which books did they focus on reading? And what skills did they try to adapt and learn? So they didn't cultivate their mind intentionally, and they let the consumption of their mind just be whatever random chance that things threw at them to consume. So, of course, you get these very wild mixed results. Okay, so you didn't intentionally take care of your body. You didn't intentionally build up your mind. And then you didn't intentionally build a career. You went with opportunities largely driven by fear, scarcity, fear of the opportunity going away. You bartered and negotiated based on the insecurity of a lack of degree or being intimidated in the meeting, not doing negotiations training or sales training. Other people having credentials, feeling less than, oh, they're dressed better than me, oh, they're taller than me, oh, they're prettier than me. So you let all these insecurities determine your outcomes in you not negotiating well for yourself, and then you're surprised about your career. You don't intentionally plot out the career path that you want to have over the decades of your life. So, then you're surprised that you didn't get promoted, you didn't prepare, and you didn't intentionally do that. Okay. And then people don't intentionally think about their finances, and they allow their emotions to dictate their financial decisions. And their emotions are at liberty and at will. They don't develop emotional control, and they let themselves be the victim of their vices, and then they're surprised at the outcome. So I believe that it's not about whether chance exists or unforeseen circumstances exist outside of your power. It's that, are you building yourself up to someone who can neutralize those things outside of an absurd and unlikely extreme?
Nicely put. To use an analogy, a lot of people are probably familiar with the study that when people win the lottery, a lot of them go back to being broke. And some of them wish that it never even happened. And part of the reason is, quote unquote, luck shined on them, but they weren't prepared to take advantage of those resources because they didn't go through the process of becoming the person they needed to be in order to earn that kind of money. Yes. So it ends up leaving. So the moral of the story is, why not prepare yourself the best way possible, plan things out, and be sincere in focusing on making something happen. And if luck does shine on you, it just amplifies the opportunities you're given because you're already prepared.
Exactly. There's no situation that isn't improved by these things. And the thing is, okay, well, how do I know what to prepare for? Well, some things are obvious, some things are not. But people who are observant, and introverts tend to, it's not that extroverts are incapable of this at all, by the way, but introverts tend to be more observant. They tend to people watch. They have higher levels of pattern recognition typically because they're spending more time observing, listening, watching than trying to talk and get attention. People ironically think I'm an extrovert because I literally built my career talking for a living, but they don't realize that I spent years in the shadows, listening, watching, waiting, calculating, and that I spend all day listening to audiobooks, podcasts like this one, and book summaries. And with book summaries, people, that's another intentional thing. Yes, I can listen to audiobooks and then come to my own conclusion, but for a lot of subjects where I'm not going to be as interested, but the information is valuable, I'll just consume multiple book summaries around a topic. So I'll consume 30 book summaries around a topic and then only listen to 2 or 3 books around it. And that's if I'm not that interested in it, but I know it's useful. And in that time period, I have an understanding and a foundation to act on to understand this thing better. and then I'm intentionally acting off of this information, and then I'm seeking out people to talk to about these things because now I can talk to them. I have the vernacular, I have some of the history, I have bullet points, I have some understanding. So I'm able to have a conversation now because I've streamlined my ability to learn this, and it cost me nothing because, well, when I was working out or when I was driving, I made the time productive on top of that. That's intentional.
I like how you said you were in the shadows for years, like an Assassin's Creed assassin just hanging in the shadows till it's time to strike. Then, bam!
Well, it's like I'm a Sith Lord. It's like at last we'll do subs to the Jedi. At last we'll have our revenge. So like,
Right.
the Sith will rule the galaxy, and then we'll have peace. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't say this in the bio, but this is self-claimed, but he says he's the biggest Star Wars nerd. So
Yeah, the biggest Star Wars.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people that are looking at hopping into being a YouTuber or content creator, they're a little scared to get involved because they're just wondering, like, from an equipment perspective, how do I get started? Then they see all this big camera gear from big YouTubers, they get highly intimidated. So
Yeah.
like, what
My-
advice
My-
what advice would you give for someone starting out from an equipment perspective to help them with that?
It's okay to see those things and be intimidated, but there are plenty of content creators who started out very modestly and are very successful today. And the thing is, you're also revealing your hand because you're worried about growing at first and you're worried about nobody watching, or if they watch, they'll criticize you. When you're a beginner, you're a beginner. It's okay if nothing is perfect. It's okay if everything looks bad or sounds bad initially as a beginner. I'm not saying it's okay to continue in that path. I'm saying it's necessary to start. If you were a sports player and you never played a sport, you never played football, you never played basketball, everything you do, your techniques are going to be horrible. Your throws are going to suck. They're going to be weak. They're going to be sloppy. They're going to be wildly inefficient. You're not going to be sitting there like really tackling anybody. You're going to be sitting there panting out of breath just from the first sprint. It's going to be a hot mess. Content creation is no different than a sport in that regard. If you pick up a musical instrument tomorrow, it's going to sound like trash. There's no way it doesn't. Even if you have some level of natural ability, you have no training. So even if you have talent without training is nothing. Another quote from Luke Skywalker there. Like, you actually need to be trained. You need experience. There's not respect, I think, for the experience it takes to be capable of making quality content. And because everyone keeps hearing quality over quantity, they refuse to accept that you have to do a lot of bad content to learn how to do good content. There's a process to learning editing. You will not be good at it after doing it 10 times. You need hours, but you need hundreds of hours. You need hundreds of hours, maybe thousands, to be good at it. It's very complicated. It's very nuanced. It's very sophisticated. It has a technical barrier to it. And technology is making it better, and there are better tools, and some of them are on your phone. Some of the best apps are on your phone. LumaFusion is great for editing. Adobe Rush is great for editing. iMovie is trash. So Adobe Rush or use LumaFusion. Adobe Rush is free. And I'm not sponsored by Adobe right now, but I probably will be. But I'm not shilling for them, I promise. I've just been using them forever, and it's easy and it's convenient. And in this case, it's free. So just use Adobe Rush. Or if you want, buy LumaFusion for $30, own it forever. It's a really good program. Maybe you play with Video Leap. I believe that one's free. I think it's in my video on 6 free or cheap video editing apps for beginners. Just use a better app than iMovie, in my opinion, because you won't be held back by the limitations. You'll be able to, at least from an editing standpoint, compete with regular YouTubers who are established, but you got to get experience. You got to train. You got to practice. The equipment is the reason we spend so much money. Is we've made money from YouTube. So we're spending money into making the best experience possible. And we have a fan base. We have standards. We have people who we want to deliver better looking, better sounding, more well-lit content for. But to start, all of you, your phones are better than what me and every creator had 10 years ago, even if we spent money. So your phones are a better tool than we ever had when we started. So that's fine to start. when you make money from YouTube, invest it back instead of improving your lifestyle, unless your situation is really horrible. Invest it back into giving a better experience to viewers, because then you have more support and more viewers and more of a reason for people to continue being loyal. And then you'll be able to earn more money as your audience and influence grows, because people see you put effort in to giving them a better product. So a better product, more customer loyalty. And then you could decide what an upper limit is for that. I don't think you guys have to go to an upper limit of having a $10,000 setup like a lot of us full-time big YouTubers. I think a lot of you could just use, like I have, if I switch cameras, I have a Sony ZV-E10 here that I'm displaying on the camera. For the audio listeners to know, I just switched cameras. All right, that's a $700 camera body. So that's a little bit of investment. You could save up for that. You spent $700 on other things. That's an Xbox and some games, and some of you brought that during the pandemic. It's a $250 lens, and it looks really nice, and it looks blurry background like every big YouTuber. So you're already less than $1,000 in. You can get like a Sennheiser MKE 200 or 400. That'll run you $99 to $100. Or you can get a Deity microphone. I think it's a V Pro Mini 4 or something like that, and it's like $50. Right? So you get a Deity shotgun microphone, a mini, and it's like $40 or $50. So you're under $1,000. You already have a good camera, a good lens, a good microphone for audio quality. It'll give you vlog-like content. It can do live streaming. The only thing you need after that is lighting for the most part, and like a decent tripod or a handle. You can get a DJI gimbal for like $80 to $100, and you'll have this stable thing for vlogging, no shaky cam. And so you'll have that. In terms of regular tripod after that, you can get a Manfrotto action tripod for $70, and it'll last you your whole career and be portable, great for travel, lightweight, easy to set up. And then none of this is sponsored. And then you can
hashtag not sponsored.
And then you can get like a newer ring light. If you want a ring light, you get a newer ring light, bicolor, dimmable, $80 with a stand, $80, $90. And if you are wearing glasses and you want to keep them on camera and you can't use a ring light, then you could get some diffused panel lighting and light from the sides. You can get a kit for that for like from Newer for like maybe $150, or you could go all out and you could get for I think $160. You can get a aperture Arman light, like the it's like the Arman 200D, and you get that. Mm-hmm. You can put a filter diffuser on it for like $100, or like you could probably find some for $60 from Godox. Put that on. Now you've got diffused lighting with a lantern to really get the skin tones and shadows. So like a pro YouTuber setup is like to compete with like the biggest YouTubers, but do it on a budget and no one can tell the difference. You're only spending like $1,500. And I say only, like, and if you throw a Samsung laptop in there for like $800, like you throw in the Galaxy Book, or if you get like a MacBook Air or something, an M2 MacBook Air to have like the fastest editing, or if you got an iPad Pro to do your editing on, to use a mobile app editor or something like that, then like you could do it for like $1,500 to $2,500, and it's everything you need for your career for the next 3 years. For the next 3 years, you could operate with that setup, and everything you do will look clean, sound clean, be well lit, and you will be fine. And you can vlog, you can travel with it, and you will be fine. And you can make more or less the same content as a Casey Neistat with that setup. You can make stuff that looks like Casey Neistat with that setup. If you want to take it further, yeah, throw in, like, you could still be under $2,500. You could still throw in a DJI Mavic Mini or Spark, get a $200, $250 drone if you want to be fancy, and yet you're still under like $2,500. And you can shoot, record, perfect audio, edit as fast as hell. And that's not that bad, considering we're talking about, okay, the next 3 years of your career, you don't need to buy anything for the next 3 years of your career. That's like not bad. There are more ways to waste that money or spend that money that'll never make you another dollar. But again, you could start with your phone, and you could always just add a few $100s of phone accessories. Just put a better mic on your phone. There's a whole kit that you augment your phone. You throw $150 at it, and oh, congratulations, $150 to make your phone into a great mobile studio. And then you get like an iPad mini or a used iPad Air to edit on, and then you get LumaFusion, and you could just be a mobile content creator that way. So you don't have to go as fancy as I'm talking about, but if you wanted to be competitive, it's not that bad. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars per se. Maybe $1,500. Right. It depends.
Those are some powerful references. And for everyone that doesn't know, and I'm showing this on the screen for everyone that's watching, like on YouTube. Sure. I made the App Lifestyle, which is my very first YouTube channel. Every video on that channel was made just using my phone and a lavalier mic. And that channel was pretty successful just with that setup. So you don't have to have like these huge mental expectations of getting all this equipment right off the bat, because you judge yourself way too harshly. You can acquire this over the time of your career.
I did.
And I remember like one thing you talk about on your channel is if money is stressed, if anything, invest as much as you can into improving the audio standards. Because if someone clicks on your video and the audio sounds janky, the chance of them clicking off, which has a big impact in the performance in that video, is very high.
Yes. 100%. Audio over everything. And then the next investment I'd probably say is lighting. And those are both relatively cheap to get to get to mid-tier. To get to mid-tier on audio is like $150, right? And you could get to the bottom of high tier for $300. You get to the bottom of high tier audio for $300. That's it. And that's the Sennheiser MKE 600. When I got that, as you know, even with I recently got it back again because the other one, after 4 or 5 years of abuse, it finally died. So I replaced it. I got the MKE 600 again, and you know what? Even with hardwood floors, as long as I put the filter on it, perfect audio again. So I did that. That was a big deal. For travel and for stuff, I got the MKH 416. That was $1,000. So that was the really high end of high end. But it's perfect. But that's perfect too. So, but the thing is, no one would know the difference except for an audiophile between the $300 microphone and the $1,000 microphone. Even with the hardwood floors, no one would know the difference. So that's something to keep in mind. And then with lighting, you could spend all kinds of money on lighting. You can go to thousands of dollars in lighting, sure. But you could get good lighting for between as much as you get to mid-tier in lighting for like $90 all the way up to like $350. And you could be mid-tier in lighting. You could be mid-tier in lighting, and no one would criticize your lighting, and no one would know that you're not a big YouTuber from the quality that the lighting would be. So you could always do that. The big difference is the leap from phone to camera, but a lot of people, depending on their content style, if you're a commentary channel, you are doing something similar to like the App Lifestyle, and you're doing stuff on the go, or you're doing vlog-like content, a phone will get you by for a very long time, at least until you're monetized and can make money.
And I'm going to say this statement, but this isn't financial advice, for entertainment purposes only. But when you do step your game up from an equipment perspective, it's tax deductible.
Yes. But more importantly, it compresses your time.
Yeah. And of course, when you can speed up your processes, then by default, you can get more content out there. You can serve your audience faster and better. And then the end result is you're going to be making more money.
More time is more money. Every time. So if you invest into anything, investing into a laptop that edits faster, time, all of a sudden videos that were taking you 12 and 8 hours start taking 3 and 4 hours. That's a lot of time to get back. That's a lot of time you can resell. So you make the ROI on the laptop investment and the software investment very quickly, because the process is just getting cut in half and then getting in halves of halves and so on and so forth. So it's that becomes a big deal. The same thing with when you start to get to the point of your footage is on a camera instead of a phone, and you're not editing on a phone anymore, the process for making content becomes a lot faster, and the process for not shooting content you can't use or that's unusable goes away. Same thing for improving the audio. Most people throw because of the audio. Most people throw content away because of the audio or because of the autofocus. So the minute you fix those, and the thing is, you can't really fix bad lighting in post. That's why it matters to get good at lighting, especially when you have darker complexions like ours. You have to really think about the lighting, and you have to learn how to make it work.
And that's part of the reason you recommend people stay away from iMovie.
That's a big part of it. That's a big part of
it. Right. Okay. Well, you mentioned monetization, and I don't think I could get away from asking this question. So for those that are trying to get their channel monetized, let's say they've been making content on a consistent basis, they're trying to get their channel monetized. Like, what advice would you give to the up-and-coming creator in that situation? A lot of people treat this as some huge hurdle. They're like, oh my gosh, but there's some tactics you can use and just consistency to, hit this goal.
I have basically a straight up formula for this for monetization. So you have to change certain things in the formula accordingly. But my version of it is this: 100,000 channel views is kind of like the parameter that I set for this in a 12-month period, because YouTube gives you 12 months to get 4,000 watch hours. You can get 1,000 subscribers in any time period. The requirements for YouTube monetization are 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours of watch time. So I broke it down and I said, you know what? On average, it turns out that with 100,000 views, people tend to get 1% of those to convert to subscribers. Turns out that with like 1 million views to get to 10,000 subscribers. Oh, it turns out 10 million views on average is what gets people to 100,000. So I found the 1% rule. So the 1% rule, as it turns out, in terms of your views, generates the additional subscriber conversions. So we already know, okay, we can get the subscribers from that. And then, okay, if I make 100 videos and I can't get 1,000 subscribers, maybe it's me. So that's the other thing.
Right.
Because my thing is, okay, 100,000 views, let's make 100 videos in a year. So what's 100 videos in a year? It's basically 2 uploads a week. Now, that sounds insane. And that sounds really hard to do, but it's actually not that bad. I was once upon a time a daily content creator, and I've kind of been doing a lot more closely to near daily yet again for the second half of 2022 here. So, and I can tell you, it's actually not as difficult if you take my approach to it with things like batch recording.
I was gonna bring that up. You beat me to it.
Yeah, sharp and fast.
Lifesaver.
Yeah, like batch recording, sharp and fast editing, planning your content in advance, having like I'm going to do a series of this type of content. I'm going to do 5 of the same. I'm going to do 5 videos on this subject and do a series. I just make videos in series now. So I just do batches of 3 to 5 videos. I record 3 to 5 videos. Sometimes I'll record 3 in a morning session, another 2 or 3 in an afternoon or evening session. And okay, there, I've got a series of 5 or 6 videos. All I have to do is edit them. And if I get, and if I keep a lot of things consistent, then it's simple and it's easy. And it's not boring. Some people think it's boring content, but I see creators who upload every day. People like Abba and Preach, for example, they upload every day. They got the same background, same backdrop. Their editing style is simple. There's no wacky transitions. There's barely any effects. And again, their style is commentary, but they get hundreds of thousands of views every day. They blew up during the pandemic. They've been around forever, but they blew up during the pandemic. There's other people who do daily podcasts. You have all kinds of people out there crushing it. You have reaction channels that do an upload every day. PewDiePie uploaded, the biggest YouTuber before Mr. Beast, like he uploaded every day for like 10 years, 12 years to get to 100 million subscribers. It's like, I'm not guaranteeing that does it, but I'm saying it's not. If you gave yourself a challenge, even for 1 week or 1 month of, I'll just put out video every day, you will find a way to do it and you'll realize you made your process more efficient. I do things like that because I know I will become better doing it. But let's circle back to my monetization formula. Okay, you got to get 100,000 views. You're going to make 100 videos. So now I can tell you exactly how to get the watch hours, because let's break down the math again. 4,000 watch hours is 240,000 minutes of watch time. So if we make 100 videos, we could decide, you know what? We have to figure out the average view duration of those 100 videos. And we have to like get a certain amount. We know that those 100 videos have to get us 100,000 views. So that means for safety margins to have, in case some videos are not eligible, we got to average 3 minutes of average viewer duration on every one of these views of this thing. And these, so that's going to give us 300,000 minutes. So we're going to be 60,000 minutes over, which is good. That's a safety net. Okay. But on average, you're going to get 25 to 30% retention on your videos. So that means your videos can't be a certain length. So that means I now know that if I need 3 minutes and it's going to be like 25%, then that means I can't make videos that are shorter than like 12 minutes. So my best bet is to make all of my videos 12 to 16 minutes, no matter what. Make 100, and that means I got to figure it out. It's on me. It's like, oh, I'm going to be fluffing the video. No, it's on you to figure out a way to not fluff the video and still get 12 to 16 minutes of content. That's on you, homie. And yeah, you're going to have to edit it. So you might as well not be extra, and you need to make it cool and interesting, but as simple as possible, and put all the editing into the first 30 seconds of the video that people are using to make up their mind. Because after 30 seconds, it's harder to click away from a video. After you're already in, once you're 30 seconds into a video, once you're 30 seconds into a television show, a channel on the clicker, it's harder to just, it's like you're in now and you're lazy and you're like, I'll just sit here through this. It's too much trouble to do something else. That's how our brains work. So just edit aggressively that first 30 seconds to increase the retention. Make videos 12 to 16 minutes until you're monetized. The good news is later, if those videos are rewatchable or evergreen, you'll have more ads in them. So you'll make more money on your old videos anyway if you do this. Because if your videos are under 8 minutes, then like you can't have a pre-roll, mid-roll, and post-roll ad. So you can't have more ads on them so you don't make as much money. You just get one ad. If your videos are longer, you get to have 2 to 3 ads. So obviously you stand to make more money this way anyway, once you are monetized and getting ad revenue. So this strategy makes sense because, and again, if you were like, oh, well, I can't make that many videos, then you're gonna have to tweak the formula and you're gonna have to like get, oh, I need to make shorter videos. If you need to make shorter videos, then great. Congratulations. You made it really hard on yourself because now instead of getting 25% average view duration, you can't win unless you get 50% if you're going to make shorter videos. And you might feel like, okay, I can do that. I can, if I make videos 6 to 8 minutes, I can get people to watch 50% of it. Well, you better nail that because if you don't, then it's going to be a problem. Or I can't make 2 videos a week. I can only make 1. Well, you're going to have to get more views or higher retention or something and you're going to have to like you and really commit to converting to subscribers. So, and that's harder because once you have, when you're a working class creator, when you're not even monetized and you work a 9-to-5 job and this is part-time, the threshold quality of the content you can make, especially with limited resources and using your phone and stuff like that,
right?
Cheap gear, there's a limit to how competitive the content can really be. And you don't have experience and you haven't been on camera before. So realistically, my answer is here's how, without making perfect content, you can still be within these thresholds and you can still accomplish this with very little resources and little experience, because we're now just playing to the most likely law of averages and common denominators. And we're giving ourselves a lot of threshold and wiggle room for error. So we're just doing it my way is almost guaranteeing it. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to be in your feelings of, I want to make shorter content, I want to do this, you're increasing the level of performance that you have to have and the quality you have to do it your way. My way acknowledges where you're at. And the only difference is the mentality of being a little bit stubborn or romantic about the content you want to make.
Oh man, that's all beautiful. Like you broke it down to a simple formula. And as someone who's gone through the monetization process twice, once for the app lifestyle, second for financial anatomy, and this podcast is going to be a third time. That all speaks volume. Like for the app lifestyle, I literally thought about I didn't do the exact numbers like you said, but I realized if I wanted to get the watch time, because I hit the subscribers fairly early on, but watch time, that's going to be a hurdle. I decided, okay, I need videos that are going to range between 10 to 20 minutes at least. So how can I get away with doing that? I came up with, you know what, I'm going to make a free course on Uber Eats. It's going to have 7 parts, and each video is going to be between 10 to 20 minutes. And I kept releasing those videos on a weekly basis. Then before I knew it, I was monetized.
Yeah.
And
a free series is a free course is hard to turn down. And a free course requires you to watch it all the way through. And a free course requires you to watch over and over and over. And I agree. This is brilliant.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because Financial Anatomy, I feel like it was the other side of the coin because I didn't upload once. I didn't upload twice a week. I uploaded once a week. But I eventually got impatient and say, you know what? I'm just going to go daily for like a month. And when that month was over, a few days later, I got monetized. But it's all like the balancing of what you said.
Yeah.
That was going at a slower pace, but I paid for it because I had to go daily towards the end. So you can play around with that formula, but it makes it harder on yourself. Why not just keep it simple?
Exactly. And when you're starting out, you need to put some wins on the board. You need something, and you need a process. And I think you need the consistency. And the thing is, with 2 videos a week, that gives you a lot more, and that gives you more to compare to. And then you also have results a little bit more quickly. And then also, I feel the discouragement by knowing, you have a goal of making 100 videos in a year. It eliminates a lot of discouragement of whatever the process is and stuff like that. And knowing that your only focus is monetization, it puts you in a position to like be striving and working for something. And then the thing is, if your first couple of videos don't really do anything, it's okay because we created a margin of error in my system here, but also they don't reset you to 0 when you're trying to get monetized anyway. It's a 365-day rolling target. So unless most of your watch time happened at the very beginning of your channel, which is very unlikely, except for like something like what happened with my music channel, with one video going big, and I was short of the monetization by 200 hours, and I lost a video in the cycle that had one video had 1,400 hours, so that was painful.
Dang.
But that's because one video went big. It doesn't always help you in the long run. So, but that's okay. We're at 2,400 and growing. So it's like for the watch hours. So probably, by the end of the year or something like that, we know that channel will get monetized. So I'll have a third channel monetized just like you. We'll both have a third monetized channel. But it's interesting. My strategy for the music channel was I started really winning when I started releasing hour-long loops of music that people could listen to, and also 3-hour mixtapes and 12-hour sleep sessions, 10-hour sleep sessions, and things like that. So all of a sudden, I had a path to accumulating large chunks of rewatchable long-form content and ways to accumulate and rack up that watch time. And so that was another powerful strategy for a different type of content. I got the podcast channel monetized by doing daily live streams. And those are hour to 2 hour long podcasts and interviews and things like that. So it's like, and there's replay value in those. So it was, it wasn't that I got that in I did that in like a month. I did that I did that in like a month. So you can, there's all these different strategies to do it, but I revolve around this formula, and I just tweak it based on either video length or number of uploads.
Cool. So we kind of focused on YouTube pretty heavily, and a lot of people see the value in being a YouTuber. But this question is popping up pretty frequently, and it's a valid question. But people who are looking to start out and get into this content creation, should they just focus on YouTube, or should they go multi-platform, like post in Facebook and other places too?
When you start, focus on one thing because you have limited. When you start, let's look at what a beginner usually is. A beginner usually has very little experience, very little resources, very little time. There's no benefit to spreading yourself thin and diluting those already scarce resources, scarce energy, scarce time, and not accumulating focused experience. And from YouTube, unlike other platforms, YouTube is the best trickle-down platform. Your people in YouTube will look you up and follow you in other places. What you should do is you should grab those accounts and use the same name, same spelling, same profile pic, and same branding to avoid impersonation, but you don't have to start posting to those accounts. But if you're going to do anything, I would say do YouTube and Instagram and Twitter, and you could start those, but you don't need to do anything on Twitter unless you just have unproductive time to tweet at people, reply to people when you have unproductive time. You know, you're the passenger in a vehicle. Okay, great. You can hop on Twitter. You're a passenger in a vehicle and it's not going to disturb other people. You can post an Instagram story or you can post a selfie. Posting a selfie in Instagram takes 0 time. Now, again, when you're starting, you can be a little bit just post things in Instagram to have a foundation for it. And you don't have to start Instagram super, super intentionally because it's not about the grid anymore. It's about the feed. A lot of people don't understand the grid is worthless in Instagram now, and the feed is everything. So you can start by just having something there so that people go to their profile. It's something. And Instagram is something everyone has now. So it's about social currency. Instagram is about social currency. I mean, if you go out and you go on a date with someone, they've looked you up in Instagram. It's just how it is. So you meet somebody, they look you up in Instagram. It's just how it is. So you might as well, you're going to have an Instagram. You're going to use an Instagram. So you don't have to worry about, oh, do I have time? You're going to make time for Instagram because it's social currency. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But having Twitter sets you up for the future to avoid some impersonation, later to get verified, and then later to build your network. So Twitter is for networking. If you're already in a career or a job, you probably already have a LinkedIn. What I would do is I would clean it up and I would decide whether or not my LinkedIn ties to my creator persona or if it's separate from my real life job or it needs to be. I would think about that and be intentional about that and what you put over there. But in general, I would also start to use LinkedIn for researching, but you can do that very scarcely. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it. If your creator career leans into your profession or vocation, then you get to do a little bit of mix and match and you can actually share stuff to LinkedIn and you might benefit from sharing the videos to LinkedIn. But I believe that YouTube's a really good foundational platform. Instagram's in your life anyway. Twitter is for networking. LinkedIn is for research, potentially for networking. So it's about having these platforms and being active in them is 2 different things. You should have every platform, but you don't need to be active in every platform at the same time.
I can see that, especially the part about cleaning up your social medias. I still remember, for those of y'all that watched that TV show, The Flash, what happened to Harley Sawyer, the guy who played the elongated man.
Yeah.
He had some bad stuff out there, and I'm not going to get into it. It was pretty bad. But the point is, he didn't clean his social media up, so someone dug it up, and it quite literally got him fired.
I'm surprised the CW didn't go through every one of their actors' things in advance and knowing what the culture is and knowing about cancel culture and social justice culture, especially with how progressive a company CW is. I would have thought they would have just went through everybody's stuff and then scrubbed it.
You would think, but I don't know. They do some questionable things. I will say that, like things I would think they would do.
Well, they ruined the entire Arrowverse, so there's that.
Yeah, I'm still salty about that. So
I am. They ruined the Arrowverse. They ruined the DCEU and have to start over and everything like that. The only thing they've got going for them at this point is the DC animated universe. And I still think that they dropped the ball by not reintroducing and bringing back Batman Beyond right after Justice League Unlimited and really going in on that. They should just do that and call it a day.
In a perfect world.
Let me run things. I'll do it.
If there's any kind of voting going on, you've got my vote. Let's get you in there so we can get some party back in there.
I'll be there, and I'll be like Kevin Feige, and like I'll just come roll up in there and be like, yeah, this is how it's gonna be.
Right. Okay.
We'll respect these characters. We'll respect their history. We'll respect their tradition. We'll respect people's childhoods, and we'll give them the characters that they love in the way that they remember them. And we'll only build on top of that. Sure, we'll add new things. We'll add representation and diversity. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to mess with people's childhood and their memories and their space and what they like, that nostalgia that takes them back to a happier and simpler time. And we're not going to disrespect the legacy of these characters and their stories. We're going to make it right. And I would just do it that way. And I'm like, and anyone who doesn't like it, you're fired. You can leave. Yeah, we can leave. Your severance is a small price to pay compared to losing money on these films for the future.
It's funny you say that. I'm just remembering how good like Arrow season 1 and 2 and Flash season 1 was. Then just seeing them dropping quality later. It's just,
oh my God. It's painful, honestly. And the thing is, Supergirl deserved better. Supergirl could have been amazing, and the casting was wonderful. Supergirl deserved better than what it got.
Yeah, that's true. But I know they had all kinds of problems with it coming from CBS and
Supergirl,
CBS. Yeah,
and it deserved better writers. I'm just gonna say,
yeah,
it had great writing, great direction, great cinematography. The VFX crew was top notch. It deserved better writers.
Yeah, like keep the social commentary in the background and subtle. Like don't punch me in the face with it, because most people want to turn their brain off when they watch the stuff, and you're like forcing them to turn it back on.
Well, content creators should learn a lesson from this too, and content creators should realize that content is on the internet forever. Everything you post is forever. They should be more intentional and thoughtful, and they should realize that culture and politics change and evolve over time. So there's almost, no matter how you feel personally, there's almost no point in mixing the things or conflating it with your brand, because it has to survive the next regime, the next culture shift, and it's like, are you just going to be on like a side of that doesn't, because everyone assumes their side will always be the side forever and everything like that. And it's never true. It's never true. It just goes back and forth and everything round robin. So the thing is, as far as your business is, you might as well leave your business out of it and call it a day, because you just never really know which way the pendulum is going to swing. So you might as well just focus on, if you care about those things, live that way in your life, but don't also alienate your audience. Don't subject your audience to that. Unless that was the core value proposition you started with. Give people what they signed up for, and you can add things, but don't subtract from them. And I think the best thing you can do as a content creator is that people say, oh, well, that sounds like your priorities or this or your that and everything. I think there's a little bit of humility to really stop thinking that you can influence all things for all people. And yes, you can make a difference, but you need to be realistic about what that difference is. And the best thing anyone can do to make a difference is be active in their local communities. That's the best thing anyone can do, is be boots on the ground and be a pillar of their local communities. Get resources to teachers, especially during this time. Get resources to teachers. Your local firefighters usually pay for toiletries and things out of their own pocket. They don't have a stipend in most cities and counties, so you could give things to your local fire department and show them that they're loved and appreciated. You can if you're religious, you can volunteer at your local faith-based organizations, your churches, temples, and mosques, and synagogues, and so on. You can do that. You can even be part of interfaith coalitions, regardless of how what you believe. You can do volunteer cleanups. You can organize them. The best thing that anyone can do is, if you want to use your power as an influencer, I think the best thing you can do is be a hometown hero like Mr. Beast and do things to create jobs in your communities, volunteer cleanup, help support small businesses and small business owners, especially those recovering from the pandemic, and help support local schools and do drives for school supplies, help with underprivileged children, help teachers to supplement their resources so they don't come out of pocket. Influencers can make a difference, but I think everyone focuses on large, sweeping stances, politics, culture war stuff, instead of really doing the most important job, which is being a good citizen in your community to the people you see every day, and even the people that unfortunately are invisible to you.
You know, that's actually a great tie-in into this next question. Because this is a Side Hustler Society podcast. So a lot of people want to pick up a side hustle, but some people want to remove the word side and just be a hustler. So I'm not mad at them. Like that Jay-Z song, like, I'm a hustler, baby.
Hustler, baby. Yeah.
So, like, in your opinion, like, what do you feel is something, if someone wants to go full-time into being a content creator, what do you feel what do they need to do to make that switch? Whether it be a tactic or mindset or whatever it may be, what needs to happen for them to fully make that switch to be able to be a content creator full-time over just being part-time?
Well, I think there's a couple of things, and I'm glad you brought this up. I think there's a couple of things. I think, first of all, you have to have a very firm grip of your finances already and your financial discipline and what your risk, your liabilities, and your resources actually look like. So the thing is, if you don't have the resources to back up replacing the things you use to be a content creator, I don't think it can be your full-time income, because you're vulnerable to disruption. So until you have like the ability to know that you can replace your editing system, you can replace your camera and your microphone, it's a bad idea unless you feel you're comfortable to do that. So that's one thing, because you need the tools of your trade. You need your means of production, your literal means of production in this case, to produce content. So you need to have that in place. I would say you have to have a system of recurring monthly revenue that's stable aside from your 9-to-5 job, and know that that's in place. Ideally, maybe it's something that's at least a little bit passive. There are levels to passive income. I might do a video, the 5 levels of passive income. That might actually be a really good idea.
I say go for it.
Yeah. So, because this is very important for content creators, is that there's different levels to how passive your income is. And that has to do with things like startup cost, maintenance cost, thresholds of recurring, circumstances for disruption, all these different levels and things, variables that then have levels to them. So I would say you definitely need more than AdSense if you're a YouTuber to go full time. In my opinion, you need something else, because ads could get taken away. They could underperform. The market could change. Advertisers can boycott. We've had that. That's called the apocalypse. And then if you're not a big YouTuber, your inventory gets cut in half during a situation like that, because inventory flows to the top, not to the bottom. So we get leftovers. If you're like the lower on the totem pole you get leftovers in terms of ad inventory. So that's a problem. So you have to consider all of these different factors. I would say you should also look at reducing your expenses before you become a full-time content creator. You need to know that if you become self-employed and then this is your full-time income, you're going to be paying 15% self-employment taxes. You have to know about your health insurance. You have to pay your own health insurance. If you're young, maybe you just get a catastrophic policy and then that's cheap. But if you're not and you have health concerns, you have to know, and you have to get a policy and something in place. I would say that maybe to make it easier to transition from a 9-to-5 job to be a full-time creator, I would verify and do the research on how much it's going to cost you to do for being fully insured. So, do your research, and you should already know what insurance carrier you're going to get, what the policy is and how much it's going to cost, and how long before your policy runs out at work, how to make sure that there's no penalties for lapses in coverage. And you should have a plan of transitioning your insurance beforehand. You should have some money set aside and start thinking about, okay, I'm making more money maybe, or I stand to make more money than I do at my job, but you need to have a threshold of, I need more than enough money to also cover this insurance and these new taxes I'm going to pay. So you need to work into your equation. And then also,
would you say that a person, this is why I tell people, if you're going to do YouTube full time, your YouTube income, when I say YouTube income, I don't mean just AdSense. It can be AdSense, affiliate marketing, like I'll just say self-employment income. It should be at least 1.5 to 2 times your current money you're making at the job. Would you say that?
I would say that, if not more. And I would say on top of that, you should have some savings.
Yeah.
You need some runway. You need to be able to have a bad month or 2 or 3 and pay bills. Like, so, and people like just get frustrated because they just hate their job so much that they just want to be able to be told that they can quit right away. And it's a horrible idea. And I've seen people have to go crawling back, and it's not fun. Or I've had to see people. Now, here's what a really practical thing to do is: you don't quit your job to do YouTube full time at first if you don't like your job. You use the leverage from the extra income and extra savings from YouTube and your debt reduction and the ability to pay for your own insurance if it comes down to it. Use the leverage that you could go full time to then get a better job than the one you currently have, doing a job that you don't hate. And even if you love YouTube, I say you quit your current job, you get an even better job, maybe one that even lets you work remotely and do flex time or do only part-time in the office and pays. Because again, your current job, it's hard to get a 20-30% increase in salary. But if you quit and now you have experience, you didn't negotiate from a place of strength last time. Now you have the strength and confidence of, you got that job before, you've got years of experience under your belt, you know better now. You have some money in your pockets, and you could just go YouTube full-time, theoretically, or be a full-time content creator. That lets you walk into that interview and those job applications, well, a lot more swagger, a lot more pep in your step, you straighten up, you feeling yourself. You feel really good. And then you're going to get 20-30% more than the previous job already. So then that starts to almost get you to that 1.5 times right now. And now you also still have the side income from YouTube. You're walking in as someone who you already have a personal brand or whatever walking in. So now you're not afraid of having nothing, because you have multiple streams of income now from already. So now you're not afraid, and you're not as nervous, and you're not as anxious to say yes to every offer. You're better in a position to negotiate because you have leverage now. You didn't have that before. You didn't have leverage before. You have leverage now. So I would use the leverage. And then you have a better job. And now you have more flexibility, you have more autonomy, you have more confidence, you have more authority in your position, and you're more willing to say, you know what, I can walk, because that was your other option. So now you're making more money, you are less stressed, you have more respect because you negotiated for yourself, you have more autonomy, you still have your side hustle. It's now able to grow even more. And now you have more resources to feed it. You now have more resources because you increased your income by 20 to 30%. And people think that that's insane, but it's not. Going from your one job to another job can be a 20 to 30% increase when you now have confidence to negotiate. It's not uncommon. And so, if we're talking, let's say you were making $35,000 a year. It's not uncommon to quit that job from making $35,000 a year, go to another job and make $45,000. That's not that uncommon, but it's really uncommon is to get a $5,000 to $10,000 a year raise out of your current position. That's uncommon. But quitting and then negotiating now with leverage, you will get that if you know what you're doing. It's more likely anyway. And so now you have all of a sudden more resources to buy time. You have more flexibility. You are more comfortable to take days off if you want or need to, and not worry about the earnings gap because it was more than you were living off of. All you have to do is not increase your lifestyle. All you have to do is not increase your lifestyle just because you increased your money. And you still have this side hustle that was YouTube on top of it. So now you can feed it more. And now the thing is, if you have to make less than this new job, you've learned to live off of less. You're reducing even more debt because you have the extra money from YouTube. You're getting used to this. You're buying the resources to make this YouTube channel scale. And now it might be scaling. So the thing is, if this then really starts to equal or be a little less than the new job, it's okay because it's more than the previous one. And you were living off of less than that before. Because the main thing is when you get YouTube income, do not increase your lifestyle. Reduce your debt, your liabilities, and get more resources, but don't increase your lifestyle. And then when you get a new job, you're earning more money, but yet again, don't increase your lifestyle. Decrease again. Pay off your car early. Pay off those credit cards. Reduce your monthly payments. Buy things that reduce cost. Buy things that reduce your electricity bill. Buy things that reduce your water bill. Do all these things. Do these cost-cutting measures through frugality. Do not increase your lifestyle. And the way you're treating yourself is you treat yourself by buying better equipment and gear that buys back your time through speed, efficiency, and processes. You treat yourself by maybe hiring someone part-time to even duplicate your work and speed up your stuff. Get you a second monetized channel or something like that by helping out with some editing or something like that. And so now the money for them is coming out of the second monetized channel potentially. Or you're not missing the money because you weren't using it for lifestyle. It's another investment. And now you have another income stream all of a sudden. And then you rinse and repeat this process. And then you maybe 2 years on this new job and 2 years of also doing everything, by the way, to get raises at this new job, raising your YouTube income. Now you've got more options because now, car's paid off. Down payment, got a mortgage, got it while I was still employed, got that. Have several months of the mortgage saved up, got $10,000 in the emergency fund, got brand deals coming in, channels growing. Now it's like, okay, my only debt's my house now? Wait a minute. I've been doing YouTube for 5 years. Oh, my only debt's my house. I have this new job. I can decide to keep it, or I can decide to go full in on YouTube and everything. Oh, I do have the mortgage. You could decide. You can okay, you know what? Give it it's been 5 years. I'll give it another 6 months of stacking cash. I have an exit strategy. I'm just going to go hard the next 6 months, juice the channel, and I can go hard 6 months because I know I'm going to quit the job and do this full time. So I'll juice it so that when I do go full time, I have the momentum of 6 months of going as hard as I can and swinging for the fences because I have the safety net of my job. Why not take some risk? Why not try to make a viral video? Why not try to up the quality? Why not? Because like, what's the harm now? Why not try this? Why not try that? I can swing for 6 months as hard as I can and try to blow up or get more money out of this, because then when I quit, when I leave, I have the juice and momentum of 6 months of going hard without even doing it full time. And so now I can do that and I can go full time, and I have several months of savings. I have an emergency fund on top of that. I have the extra juice from the 6 months of going hard and whatever the revenue was for that. And now I also have the time to, I have the money to, maybe I've outsourced to where it's like I can put in, I can have some, like before I go full time, I go take my vacation, all my vacation days first, rest up, relax, work for, all right, come back, work for the last month. After, take all your vacation a month before you're going to put in your notice. You put in your notice. You've used all your vacation. You've used the six leave. You've made the provisions for your insurance. You've done all the things you need to do. You've got all of the nice, wonderful accolades and referrals for your LinkedIn profile. And now you're leaving, and now you're out. And what are you gonna do? It's like, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna pursue my passion. I'm gonna do my dream business. I've been thinking about it for a long time. Thank you everybody for a wonderful time here and everything like that. It's nothing to do with y'all. I just feel like if I don't do this now, I'm not gonna do it, and I gotta give it a shot. And I hope you wish me the best. And then you leave on good terms, so that if you have to go back, you're not crawling back. It's that everyone knew that you wanted to take a chance on yourself, and you give it up. You do it. You give yourself a month, because if they ask you to stay longer to train a replacement instead of just 2 weeks, you're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And so you have that in your mind, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's fine. And you do a good job. You do that. You don't burn bridges, and that this is why it's better to go to a new job that you like more instead of just, I hate the job, I'm quitting YouTube.
No storming out of the place, like throwing cheers and stuff. Like I see on.
Don't make a quit talk, like a damn moron. Be a grown adult. I believe in grown adults here. And so in my mind, this is how you would do it. I'm giving people some people say, oh, this is a dream fantasy scenario. It's like, you could plan around this. You could do it. You could set yourself up for this, but this is the ideal way you position. And then, now you go full time, but you should live by a schedule. You should calendar block. You should treat your YouTube and creator business with the same respect as your previous career, and show up and wake up every day, get dressed for work, go to work. But you also should set some boundaries, and you should clock out too.
Nice. And a lot of people, I call it leaving from a position of strength versus a position of weakness. Yeah. And let's say you are in a position where you do hate your job. You may have tunnel vision to where you see like the only way of getting out of this is to go full time into being a YouTuber or a content creator. And that's going from a position of weakness. Just take it as this doesn't have to be the conduit for you to leave your job. You can just go get a better job, or even a job that pays the same, but you're not miserable there. And just keep working there until everything is in place that you mentioned, and then you can leave.
Yeah. Or if you're making a crap ton, you're like, I already make more than I make at my job with YouTube. It's like, okay, leave your job and then do a part-time job, or then make sure that you're doing an active income job. Like you say, okay, I'm going to quit. I'm going to do YouTube full-time, but then maybe you get another side hustle. Maybe you do YouTube full-time and you do Uber or DoorDash part-time. And so that you always have a way hand to mouth to make money. Or you become a freelancer like I did. You become a freelancer, set up your own freelancing website, get on Upwork, get on Fiverr. And so whenever you make your YouTube videos, cool. But then every day you're prospecting, you're grinding, you're in LinkedIn, you're in Facebook groups, and you're getting hand to mouth clients, and you're setting yourself up to where you're guaranteeing yourself to make $100 to $200 every single damn day, so that you can pay your bills regardless of how YouTube plays out. And whether you have a bad month, you keep scaling that, and you figure out how to hustle and do that. You take that same YouTube camera and you go do some local real estate photography or videos or something like that. Go and get an extra $500 for no reason for a day's work. Just go ahead when you're not uploading a video. Just go and do it, because it's like, why not? don't leave money on the table if you're going to be like that. It's like, I think if you hate your job, then find every means of making money without doing that job. You don't like your hourly wages. Okay, put yourself in a position to acquire the skills to where, as long as an opportunity and someone needs work done and they're willing to pay $200, $500 for a certain task, you're able to do that task. You're able to do that task. If somebody today wanted me to, because they don't want to know how to and they don't think they can do it, I could make an extra $150 today. I say, okay, I'll convert your Kindle KPF file to an EPUB file because you don't know how to do it, and a .mobi file, and I'll give you those files, $150. They don't know that that's going to take me 10 minutes. But it won't take them 10 minutes because they don't have the knowledge. It will take me 10 to 20 minutes. It will take me an hour. I will make $150 in an hour because I know how to do that. And I can charge that. And it's because they don't have the knowledge. They don't have the software. They don't know how to double check it. I do. And I'll give them quality and it'll be there. And I'll tell them, here's how you open the file that I sent you, verify that it's correct. Okay, great. Congratulations. Thank you. I see the money in my PayPal. Sayonara. That's it. It's like, I know how to do that. If someone says, hey, I need this file converted in Adobe to do this or that, I'd be like, okay, that'll be $100. That'll be $50. It's going to take me 15 minutes. I spent years acquiring the knowledge to make it 15 minutes. But it's like, okay, great. I made $50, $100, $75 in 15 minutes because I have knowledge you don't have. Acquire rare knowledge, mostly software knowledge, and you can make hundreds of dollars a day doing small tasks because not everyone is broke. There are plenty of people who have money that are not smarter than you if you master software. If you master software, there's all kinds of people who have money and they're not tech savvy. They're not tech literate. They're great allocators of resources. They're great managers. They are smart in a specialized area. You know, there's a lot of people that they went to med school. They're very smart, but they're computer illiterate on everything that's not medical. They're computer illiterate. If you can solve a problem for them, that lack of frustration and anxiety is worth $200 to them. Even if you're just spending an hour on it, it's an hour. They don't care. If in fact, if you get done in 30 minutes, they're still happy because you're thinking like a wage-based person. You're thinking like this wagey that wage. No, it's results. Become results-oriented instead of being wage-oriented and understand. There are people, they don't care about your time. They will pay money to be anxious for only a half hour instead of 2 hours. You don't need it to take longer to justify the price. They want less anxiety. They want to be
they want this thing. They want this thing out of their mind so they can put their mind on something else more productive.
Exactly. And they don't want to have the anxiety a minute longer. They're not going to be, oh, you didn't take that long, so it's not worth that much. That is only someone who has only experienced wages that always thinks that that's how people think. And the more money people have, they are happier to pay for less anxiety. So all you have to do is provide a relief to people. And I promise you they're happy to pay because the pain was worth more the pain cost them more than handing you money because they're not cash poor. So understand there's a difference in mentality of like, I just don't want that problem anyway. And I don't care. And it's worth more to pay you hundreds of dollars for that problem to go away forever than for me to live with it a minute longer. Like pain is more expensive. Anxiety is more expensive to people and time is more expensive to people. And it's like, hey, I'm happy to pay for your time because my time might be worth more. And I'm going to be like, you know, I'll pay people to do my yard work because a 90-minute call with me is worth $7.99. Why would I give that 90 minutes to a job that 3 guys can do better? I can pay 3 guys to do the yard work, and it's going to cost me for the month to have them come and do it twice. It's going to cost me $250. I sell a 30-minute call for $279. I'm buying multiple hours of my life, and I can sell it at a higher rate. I can sell 30 minutes at the rate of multiples of hours. It's like, so it's about the thought process of that and to put you in a position to, because again, it's about relative to what you would normally earn. Because again, for the guys who do my lawn care services, by the time they're done, even with working as a team, you have to understand it's like, well, we're only paying them $250 and they come twice a month. Yeah. But from their perspective, they're making something like $40 an hour.
Right.
So like, and that's fine for them and they're happy with it. You know what I'm saying? So like, you can put yourself in that position. You can put yourself in that position to develop specialization or to serve, even without specialization, serving a higher end clientele is worth more. I mean, and it's practical. Even with side hustles like Uber and DoorDash, people who do Uber and DoorDash can out earn people doing a 9 to 5. And while you're doing your Uber and your DoorDash, you could be listening to ebooks, audiobooks, getting yourself smarter, preparing for a different side hustle, preparing for Airbnb, preparing for Fiverr, preparing for real estate with your extra money. You could be, so you're learning while you earn. You may not be at another job if you work a 9 to 5 where you can learn and earn at the same time. You can convert your time more productively. So there's that aspect of it. And the thing is also, if you make your money in a certain amount of time, you can stop Ubering or DoorDashing. And then you can spend all this time being even more productive at another task that doesn't involve, you know, you driving around or using your car, where you might sit at a desk and do something or do a different, you know, thing that's productive. And then you could make even more money because, all right, I cleared my daily threshold. I cleared my daily income goal, but I still want more. But I'm not going to do it with the car. I'm not going to, you know, do more gas. I'm going to sit down in front of the computer, and now I'm going to go do this other work, and I'm going to make another $200 today.
You know, you just described to some degree my whole hustler's origin story. You know, because I drove for Uber and Lyft, then I started playing around with the food delivery. That's where the app lifestyle came into play. Then I remember I was eating dinner one time in between shifts, and one of your videos got recommended, and it specifically talked about freelancing and how, look, if you have a skill based on writing or tech, there's plenty of companies that'll pay you for that skill set. And I thought, like, oh, you know what? There's this blogger that I'm following called the Rideshare Guy. He has articles written and videos made. So let me reach out to him because he has nothing on Uber Eats. I reached out to him. He said, let's do a trial run. Did a trial run. And I got paid for making videos and also articles. Yep. And in terms of a YouTuber, you have so many skill sets once you get good at this stuff.
Yeah.
Video editing, audio engineer. And I started doing these as freelance skill sets and getting paid for it. So freelance can be the transition process too.
That was for me. That was the transition. Was I became a full-time freelancer. I had my background in web design, graphic design. It's like, okay, I was working at a company, and back when I started, back in the day, back when I started, you have to remember, I was doing website design. The company was saying they're selling website design for like to set up e-commerce shops and stuff like this before Shopify, setting up e-commerce shops, websites and stuff like charging people like $5,000, $6,000, and $10,000. And we were doing basic web design and stuff like that back then with like things like BigCommerce, Magento, WordPress, all these things. And it was like, and okay, maybe I spend 20, 40 hours on it. I'm still making my same salary every month, but the company every time I do it, the company makes $5,000, $6,000, $10,000. So like, you know, by the time we do my wages to time, the company's 10xing, 20xing in revenue, which is great for them, but not great for me. It's like, okay, wait a minute. And then doing the other things I did at the company, I might service like 20, 30, 40 clients in a month in some way through webmaster, SEO, do this, plus doing stuff for the company. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm servicing dozens or hundreds of clients every month and solving problems. How many clients do I actually need to live off of? Like, so I'm like, wait a minute here. I'm sitting here doing 12 jobs and I'm getting one paycheck. I'm like, no, which is why now I make 12 times what I used to make at the company. It's like I went like making like, you know, I went from making like, you know, $30,000 to making $300,000 a year. And it didn't happen overnight. It was over the course of many, many, many years. You know, I've been earning six figures for over 6 years at this point, consistently, maybe seven. Haven't hit seven figures yet, but like all matter of time. Yeah. But the thing is, it was all these skill sets. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can charge in the marketplace and I can go directly. It's like, if I design one website, I can make my monthly salary. What am I doing? I'm sitting here designing 3 and 4 websites in a month, doing all these other little webmaster host skills. Like, I'm like, well, those things I could charge $100, $150 to do these things. And it's like, yeah, it takes me like 2 hours. So I can make $100 to $200 in an hour or two, but my wages are only adding up to like $15 or $18 an hour. And then I have taxes and insurance and all this. I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm better off on my own, aren't I?
Yeah. That's all comes down to the numbers.
Of course, I had to have the skills to be able to, I can get clients and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's a good thing that I built the SEO and the marketing for the company to attract clients. Oh, wait, they had me lead the sales training as the marketing manager. Oh, so wait a minute. I know how to sell and how to close, and I can close better than half of the people on the sales team. And when I finish my work early, instead of getting home, I have to do customer service, tickets, and sales anyway. So I'm like, all right, I'm already one of the best salesmen in the company. I did all the marketing. I did the email marketing as well, the website marketing, the SEO traffic, the Google AdWords campaign management, managing a $250,000 AdWords campaign and doing the media buying. So wait a minute, I know how to get traffic. I know how to get traffic, which gets customers. I know how to sell and close. I know how to market. I know how to do inbound marketing through content creation, because it was the beginning of the early days of that. And then email and PR is also the same thing there. So wait a minute. I know how to get customers and traffic. I know how to prospect. I know how to network. And I know how to close. So I have the ability of the acquisition and sales of getting customers and clients. So as a freelancer, as an entrepreneur, I know where the money would be coming from. And I have the skills to deliver multiple different services. Wait a minute. What do I need them for? all right. So like I saved up my money. I duplicated all my work resources. So I have the resources. Great. All right. I'm not going to poach from the company. I can go build my own relationships. I can build my own relationships. I can use the internet to scale that. I can build relationships and scale offline, sure, in my spare time, but I can use the internet and I can do it, and the internet will work for me while I'm at work. Wait a minute. Okay. Internet works 24/7, never sleeps. I can just use content as a funnel. I can make myself an expert. I can just answer questions, and I can set that up forever, and that just is content and traffic. Wait a minute. So I understood that we don't need middlemen anymore. Like, jobs in my mind and careers can be transitional. I believe that people should go back to looking at their life as apprentice, journeyman, master. Your early career for 5 to 10 years can be an apprenticeship. When you are in school, you're an initiate. You're learning how the world works, in theory anyway. Then you do an apprenticeship and you get the real education about how the world works. Problem. You know why people struggle in life, Elijah? Because they never graduate from initiate or apprentice. They stay in an initiate or an apprentice level of their entire lives, when you should not still be an apprentice if you're no longer in your 20s. You should not be an apprentice anymore in your 30s. You should not be at the apprenticeship level of life in your 30s, which means you should have no business working an entry-level position or competing with someone who's 18 to 22 years old. There's no reason. So you shouldn't be that at 30. So you should graduate to being a journeyman, and a journeyman is someone who knows their craft, knows their trade, but also owns the tools of their own trade. So you should have saved up, and whatever job you do, you should have the means to do that job independent of an employer if you had to, because that would make you a journeyman. Because as a journeyman, you could go out on your own, or you could lead and do tasks within the realm of the person you were once apprenticed to. So you can stay on with them, or you can go out as a journeyman and do your trade yourself. So you should be in that position in your career, or have started a career anyway, and have the tools of your trade. And then you can be a journeyman indefinitely throughout life. But I think in your 40s or 50s, you should be a master of your craft to the point to where you would be capable of taking on apprentices.
Wow. And I will say this, and this isn't discouraging like employmentship or anything. And then we'll go on to the next question. But
it's saying
people have to realize that this concept of an employee is, from a historical perspective, it's a fairly new phenomenon.
Yeah.
Prior to that, people had trades, they had skills, and what we're calling freelancing was the norm.
Corporations weren't really that big of a thing until the Industrial Revolution. Like, if you look at all of human history and people go, oh, there was all this serfdom and everything like that. It's like, actually, not everywhere. If you only want to look at Europe, I guess, but not everywhere. Not everywhere was colonized right away, and that wasn't necessarily true. And if you look at populations, that wasn't necessarily true. But trades were real, And the idea of being a freelancer, hire lance, mercenary type, like that was real. You would work a season in a shipyard, and you would do that while that was seasonal. And then you do other seasonal work. You'd work for merchants. A lot of people worked for the merchant class. Not everyone was a serf. In fact, you could argue that there are areas and there are countries where the majority were not, because you have to remember, we only need so many productive farmers, and there's only so much fertile land. Everyone couldn't be a serf because there was only so much land, which is where the wars and the conquest came from, is because there's only so much land, and there's only an optimal number of people to have working the land. I think people who don't know anything about agriculture or about history think everyone was a serf type peasant being ruled over by lords and ladies and everything, and that's not really the case, because you can't do that. Now, there was a large population of just people who had nothing and were just always impoverished, but that's not the serfs. That's literally just people who are impoverished and have no employment at all at that point in history. Now, everyone else, they worked in communities. Most people were villages. Most people lived in villages. And in those small villages, everyone had to have a trade. And again,
like even local baker or local blacksmith.
Exactly so. And a lot of those people would take in a lot. Not everyone had a son or a daughter to continue their business and their line and their trade. So they actually would take people in and then would say, well, now you're an apprentice, and you might start indentured, but then you've earned your right, to earn a wage, and you have the talent now. And then sometimes they'd even leave them the business because they don't have anyone to pass it on to. And the town still needs a baker, needs a cobbler, needs a tailor, needs a tanner, needs a blacksmith, needs a butcher. You need in that era, you needed people and you needed each other. So most people lived in villages and farming communities, and they had to work together, and people had to fulfill a role within society. So you were going to have employment. You were going to have a means of providing for yourself, but also contributing to your community. That was how it was. Or you couldn't be part of a community, and then you're not around. So then it doesn't matter, right? So you don't last in the wilds. You don't last in the wilds. Nature was not friendly. Nature was not tamed. So the wilderness was not a fan. So later we had the Industrial Revolution, and that's where the advent of corporations, companies, factories, steady 9-to-5 work and gainful employment came from. Everyone was doing side hustles. Everyone was doing entrepreneurship. Everyone was doing trades before that. And so then it took away the decentralization, to use like a blockchain term. It took away the decentralization and then consolidated the resources. And guess who benefits from that consolidation? The corporations, and then above and beyond them, the government, obviously, benefits the most from that consolidation. And as they say, the rest is history. We've just forgotten the old ways, and that the internet democratizes and decentralizes a lot of these things.
Nicely put. I could talk about the historical aspect forever, but yeah. But for people that are actually interested in your book that's coming out, you want to tell us a little more about it, because it's coming out on the 22nd, right?
Yes. So it's called Create Something Awesome: How Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy. I'm really excited about this book. It's a labor of love. I've worked on it for almost a year, and it really has this special place in my heart. The hardest thing in the world, as you already know, is to write a book, to see it through beginning to end. It's things like about 50,000 words. So it's like this was like pouring my soul into this book. And it really has three main things that it focuses on. It focuses on introducing people to an understanding of the creator economy and what it is and how people actually make money from this. Because everybody who says, I want to be a content creator, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be a podcaster, I want to be a TikToker, I want to be an influencer. All these people, they have to justify it to their friends, family, and to strangers of like, does that even make money, or is that a scam, or what is that? Mm-hmm. And this will give them the language to understand it for themselves, but also to articulate it to other people and explain how this makes money, why this makes money, and that's a legitimate career, and that you're doing what I call content as a service, and that your main way of making money is you're creating media inventory for advertisers, and that's the foundation of how you make your money from YouTube ad revenue, and that you're going to do commission sales from affiliate marketing, and that's another way to make money, and that you're going to be an ambassador, a model, and spokesperson for brands that fit your lifestyle, because you're a valued user who understands the product and can show and demonstrate the product and has the right look and the right voice, and that you're going to develop your own products and sell them to people and have a product-based business with e-commerce, or that, hey, you already have a service, you're using content creation to market yourself while being paid for it through ad revenue. Okay, so that's like, another fourth thing. Or that because you're creating content and you built a community and built an audience that loves what you do, they're donating to you as a performer, and so they're directly supporting you through donations. So that's another model.
Mm-hmm.
And another one is memberships on top of that. So those are like the 7 streams of income, which is another video I'm working on, 7 streams of income for content creators. And that this is what you're pursuing, and this is how the business model is. And people say, okay, you understand this, you've thought this through, I understand how that makes money. Yeah, I've spent money every way you talk about. Yeah, I bought digital products online from people. I bought physical products online from people. I bought hats and merchandise online from people I like. Okay. Oh yeah, I have donated to an online content creator before. Oh yeah, I have watched a YouTube video and see ads. The creators get paid from that? I didn't know that. Oh yeah, they would, I guess, and everything like that. Okay. So now, and then people can say, oh, I understand how you would make money from that. I've seen those ads. I didn't realize you get paid from it. Oh, I didn't realize when I buy something and somebody recommended it that they get a commission. I didn't know that. Okay. It's because it's mostly ignorance why people delegitimize this career. As like, yeah, that's right. If someone does a sponsored plug, then they're getting paid just like a celebrity does, just like an athlete does. Oh, I do guess a model and a spokesperson gets money. Oh, okay. I could see that. It's just that people don't understand. You see, so it explains that part of it. Then it talks about the experience of being a creator and the creator mindset and how hard this is. It talks about burnout, talks about imposter syndrome, talks about how to take constructive criticism. It talks about knowing how and when to pivot your content and your strategy. It talks about being overworked and overwhelmed. It addresses these real things that we go through as content creators. And it talks about, the importance of boundaries and accountability. It also does address how stupid cancel culture is. And then
I'm looking forward to that.
And then it does also tell you realistically how to build, scale, grow, and monetize a creator-based business. And it gives you some practical advice, guidance, actionable things to do, strategy. And then in the appendix, I straight up answer what I think are like 12 of the most asked questions by beginners or people who don't understand. In the appendix, I just give straight up 1 paragraph answers to I think 12 specific questions, 10 or 12 specific questions. I also give my final thoughts on what I think the future of the creator economy is. And so that's the book. It's 20 chapters plus the appendix and my final thoughts. And I think it's going to really help people. I think it's going to be a foundation for anyone who's getting started, anyone who's doing it, and anyone who is stuck and wants ideas to scale it. Whenever I started writing my second book.
So the ultimate blueprint and foundation when it comes to being a content creator.
Yes. And there's going to be a free companion course for it too, for anybody who signs up to the email list. So that's also something I built into the book.
Awesome. And we'll be sure to leave a link to the book on in the show notes. It'll be out on August 22nd, but it's available for pre-order right now. And obviously, if this is after August 22nd, you can pick it up right now.
Yes, indeed. Yep.
Okay.
And so I'm finished the audiobook before the winter.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So we're getting towards the end of the show, but I always ask my guests if they have any questions for me about anything. So do you have any questions you want to hit me with, Roberto?
What do you think has been the most impactful or valuable thing you've gotten from my content and being a member of Awesome Creator Academy all these years?
I would say the most impactful thing is really a mentality switch from how I conceive videos and then how I push YouTube videos. Because I had a very robotic way of looking at things. Okay, I just want to get a video recommended here, and there are tactics to do that. But you've helped me see that there are various ways of getting traffic to this video, which in turn makes it successful. There's YouTube search, suggested video. There's external Google traffic. There's tactics you can use posting in your community tab and making certain videos featured on your homepage. There's so many traffic sources that I was just really sitting on because I had so many videos and I made the adjustments. I don't want to paint the picture like I didn't, Once I found out, I made the adjustments, but
Yep.
they could be promoted in so many different ways. And I just take that approach with every video now, and it's made it so much more successful. So that's the biggest thing that I've gotten in terms of a takeaway.
What's something I could do better or do more of?
That's hard to answer because you have a lot of depth when it comes to your strategies. So usually the thing I have with people is maybe they didn't go in depth enough. That is not your issue, not at all.
Anything the opposite.
Right. I guess if I had to say one thing, maybe the depth is great, but maybe having more bullet points of these concise bullet points. So when you go in depth, you can kind of put the whole picture together better.
I think I need to lean more on being a graphic designer and then take all these really great things that I have in all these frameworks. And then I need to make graphics and infographics around these concepts and illustrate them and make more of those things. I've been seeing a couple of people do that. I think it looks really great. I think as a graphic designer, I can do it well. So I think you're right that if I take all of my mindsets, my tricks, my hacks, my frameworks, these foundational principles, and then I make them in easy to consume one-page graphics, that would help people take the abstracts of these or how heady this all is and boil it down to something, even as a resource that they might be able to just print out and reference or screenshot. So I think you're right that I can make things more screenshotable, make things more listicle in that way, and easier to get a recap and summary from. So I think summaries of my stuff would do well. I agree with you. I think we can do some of that also with the highlights channel, with cutting things up into small chunks that answer only specific questions. I also think even with the highlights channel, I'm going to steal something from Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm literally just going to, I'm not even joking. I'm going to steal this. Thank you, Gary. I'm going to steal, like every time people have asked me questions in Twitter, I'm just going to steal it. And then in the weekends, I'm going to aggregate it and take like 20 of these questions and just film back-to-back rapid fire answers, 5 or 6 at a time. And we'll literally have those and post those to the highlights channel. And then it's just, here's this question, here's this answer. And that's, and we just keep posting questions. You ask questions and I'll answer them. I'll literally just steal it from Gary and to just post all these questions, like we said, into that. Later we turn every question into a graphic and or something and do something with it, maybe. Or again, we can post all this stuff, even we can repurpose it in Instagram. We can just make it accessible as possible. If there's bullet points, top 10 lists, we just make them infographics, post them in Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of it. So yeah, I agree with you.
I think that'd be powerful because, like, when it comes to teaching people, it's basically 4 elements. You got to state, elaborate, then give a real world example of how this works, and then tie it all together. And doing that will give a great framework for tying it all together. Then when a person thinks of that concept or mentality, they start to go through those 4 steps, but the tying it all together is like very foundational in those 4 steps. So I think that'd be pretty badass. I'm actually looking very much forward to it.
I agree. Who would you desperately like to see me collaborate with or interview?
You know what? I actually don't know because I think everyone on my list you've done a collab or interview with. But I guess a more modern version of this. I don't know last time y'all did collab. I might not have seen it recently. But collab with Nick Nimmons would be pretty cool.
It's been a minute. So Vid Summit, we can do that. I think that'd be dope. What would you like us to see us collaborate around?
I would probably the different ways of monetizing YouTube. I mean, me personally, I think I'm actually pretty set on that. But that's because I've been watching you for years. But I'm thinking about the new person that's coming into the creator economy. I think watching y'all break both of those down. I mean, break that down in terms of like, okay, there's YouTube ad revenue, but there's affiliate marketing. Then there's also sponsorships and brands. And hearing y'all's view individually on that, as well as just what y'all think. I think
so just like to see like the topics that I already covered. You'd like to see my compare versus contrast on how other people feel about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. That could work. That could be interesting. I think because Nick does so much with live streaming, we might do that. But I think because Nick does so much with live streaming and now he's known for live streaming and his biggest videos of all time were about live streaming, I think it'd be interesting to get like perspective from him on that. I think the dopest version of a collab will be when I can get over to Chiang Mai and do a breakdown of his advanced studio. And then I think that's something people are not, because there'll be something people have not seen before.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah. In fact, actually, I think that's one of the cooler things I theoretically could do is I think a lot of people just like have not seen a really dope, like there have been YouTubers who do studio tours, but it's usually been like the biggest YouTubers and not like a lot of like, because Nick Nimmin does cinematic live streaming. You know, he has all these camera angles, he has stuff, he has the thing on the rails, and it's really dope, right?
Right.
And we have not seen a studio tour from Chris Do either. We haven't seen a Chris Do studio tour. You know, there's a lot of people that we just haven't seen studio tours from. And that could be interesting in my travels. I also have an idea. Tell me what you think about this idea. I want to pitch this idea to you, and then we can definitely wrap up. What do you think of me literally going around to all of my YouTube homies and even some big YouTubers and literally playing around where I just ask them 21 questions and I'm like behind the camera the entire time and they're the only one on camera and it's me just asking them 21 questions.
And when you ask these, what's the end result of that you want from that? Like, would these be purposed in a video or like?
These would be, it's literally me like in person, me behind the camera. And it's like, and the title of the video is 21 questions with iJustine, 21 questions with MKB, 21 questions with C Neistat. And it's literally me just asking them 21 questions about themselves and about them being a creator. And I would go to them. And so we'd probably be in their space and I would just ask them 21 questions as they literally walk around their space. And that would be, and we'll try to cut it as little as possible, but it's just me asking them these 21 rapid fire questions.
Okay, because I was trying to check and see if you were saying you got like 20 people, and then you ask one person a question, then another person a question, in editing wise, and then it goes on to the next question once everyone has spoken. So that I was making sure it wasn't that. Based on what you said, I think that would actually be pretty cool because you can it's kind of like it gives a good opportunity to show and tell. A lot of times we just end up telling, but if they're walking around their studio talking about this, a lot of these questions, they'll find a way to crowbar like, oh, this is the reason that this is here in their studio. So it's actually a showing element to it. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. I think it's a little something different. And I think it combines education with slice of life, which is something I've been trying to work out a thesis for education plus slice of life. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at even experimenting with this on one of my other channels, but also for this channel, for the tech segments that I plan to do around like best tech for YouTubers and stuff like that. I actually plan to do something that has almost a cinematic vlog like element to it of showing off some of these things and, how they work. And like follow me, hey, come follow me around. Hey, this is like my space and this is how these things work and stuff like that. And yeah, we'll cut to some B-roll for mine, but like, I want to introduce this weird, different thing people haven't seen as far as, okay, that's actually really different. I have not seen that because, they're used to us YouTubers with everything just locked off, tripod, cinematic shots, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking of filming that 4K 60 and for mine, at least 4K 60 for mine. I think 4K 30 is better for theirs.
Roberto, when are you gonna produce like a documentary on how to be a YouTuber? I feel like that's coming down the pipe at some point. Based on the cinematography and everything you mentioned, like
making a documentary narratively takes a very long time. I think that the next 12 to 18 months of me getting new footage now that I have new camera gear and now that events are back, and with now that events are back, and because I'll have footage of the biggest names in YouTube and the biggest stars, especially at Vid Summit. At Vid Summit, I will at least have some B-roll and footage of my own that I don't have to necessarily license from everybody, that I can talk to, film, and ask questions and get a bunch of different creators, a bunch of different backgrounds, a bunch of different sizes. I'll be able to get all these interviews. So I'll be able to use snippets from my interviews with other people, snippets from interviews that exist, snippets from Vid Summit and everything like that. And I'll be able to make a mini documentary or a documentary or as many as I want in the future about all of these things. And when I look at documentaries, I look at Paddy Galloway as far as information and narrative storytelling around information. His stuff isn't documentaries as much as they're researched, but James Johnny is my documentary guy, and so is Wendover Productions. So Wendover Productions and James Johnny are the gold standard, and they rely heavily on B-roll, but I want to do not just Storyblocks B-roll, shout out to Storyblocks. I want to also have my own unique footage and tell my own unique narratives with this footage, and not just have to rely on grabbing a second at a time of a YouTuber's content and hope they don't copyright claim or nothing like that. If I have my own original footage, there's a lot. And then it also shows me off as a cinematographer. And if I have my own interviews and I have all these things, I have this great source material to work with and work from. And so that just makes it more mine anyway. Mm-hmm. And I think that if I have that, then making 20, 30, or 45-minute documentaries, making something feature length is not out of the question, because then all I have to do is narratively script it. And then I can read the narrative and voice over and do my Morgan Freeman thing. And then with the voiceover stuff and narrating it, it's then also more mine. And then it's what my audience expects. It shows my capacity for storytelling. But I feel like it's a once or twice a year thing. Maybe it's more once I have more footage. If I go to more creator events, then I have more footage. With a documentary like this, let's say I made a documentary. I'll do some math for you, because this is what it would take. What it would take is a documentary. How long do you want to watch a documentary from me? What length of video do you want?
Between 90 minutes and 2 hours.
That's a long time, even for a doc when you're talking about content creators. And do you think people will watch 90 minutes?
If the creator kind of gets as big as I think it's going to get, I think they honestly would. But how about for this example, we go in an hour?
Let's go with like a 30-minute featurette.
Okay.
If we go with a 30-minute featurette, every minute is 60 seconds. It's YouTube. We can't hold on anything for more than 2 seconds, but at this point, it's like 1.5. You know?
Yeah.
So like that means I need, aside from some monologues or some interview clips or something like that, to edit this in the style of what people expect from YouTube, I need 1,200 clips. I need 1,200. I need 1,200 all the way up to 2,000 clips. I need 1,200 to 2,000 separate individual clips that are unique to use, or rather seconds of clips. So to make this much more mine, I need 1,200 unique clips of my own. I need 1,200 unique clips of my own. And then I need to source 800 of the right clips from B-roll from Storyblocks.
Yeah, that's a huge undertaking. So,
but since I know it and I know formulaic, that's how I have to edit formulaically. Mm-hmm. It's not that bad knowing that that's it. Because again, with something like this, to retain interest in it in a YouTuber world, aside from the interviews and the cutting with that, mm-hmm. knowing that my baseline is, okay, I have to edit every second of this has to be edited, and they're going to care. So I need to edit 2,000 seconds of, or like, you know, like again, in a 30-minute featurette, the 30-minute featurette itself is like 1,800 seconds. It's 1,800 seconds. So I have to have like 1,800 plus cuts. I have to, you know, I have to think from that perspective. I have to think like they care about every second. Every second is a fight for attention with these people. So I have to frame it in my head from, I have to get footage. Like when I'm at like Vid Summit, VidCon, all these places, from now on, I'm going to have to be filming round the clock, and I'm going to have kind of a outline an outline for a script, have a shot list, and I'm going to have a shot list of, okay, I'm going to need a minimum for this. I'm going to need 100 seconds of footage of Mr. Beast. I'm going to need 100 clips. I'm going to need multiple angles. I'm going to need different things with Mr. Beast. I'm going to need this creator, that thing. I'm going to need this. I'm going to need Casey. I'm going to need Peter. I'm going to need Sarah. I'm going to need, like, I'm going to, and I have to create these scenarios because I need to be able to have these creators' faces that people are going to recognize, and I need the rights to the footage. I need it to be my own footage. So I'm going to have a lot of these scenarios where I have footage and clips of faces people would know, and I have to jam them in there, and I have to retain people, and they can't go so long without seeing someone they recognize. So I have to pace all of that. So I have to literally think I have to break this up, and I have to think of I have to think of an entire 30-minute featurette. Mm-hmm. As much as I despise this, I have to think of an entire 30-minute featurette as if it is 180 different TikToks.
Oh gosh, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's called hell, and that's where we're at now. Thanks, TikTok. Like,
the attention span of the average human being was already low, but they lowered it even further.
Yeah, way to lower the bar, everybody. So that's. But that's the thing that holds me back on this is, like, I mean, I can do high quality interviews. You already know that. You've seen the Marquez interview. You've seen the Sarah Dietschy interview. And I can do more stuff like that. I plan to for the second book especially. But I think to do a documentary justice, it basically has to come out to. And then for marketing purposes, it has to be 180 TikToks anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
It's 180 10-second TikToks anyway for marketing purposes. So I have to approach with that in mind anyway.
Yeah, those are valid points. Like, hearing you break all that down, I started thinking about the Cold Fusion channel and how he probably edits his videos, and it would be a more stringent test than even like what he does, just based on the nature of the content.
Cold Fusion and Wendover, like, this is what they go through, is they have to source 1,000+ clips.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, maybe something in the future. How far in the future, that's yet to be determined.
Maybe 12 to 18 months. It's something I've always wanted to do. So I have a plan for it. I thought for it. Maybe it is a setup to where I do it by the time I release the next book.
Okay, cool. And they could be launched together, more or less.
Something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, that's something to definitely look forward to. But I guess we'll go ahead and conclude this episode of the Side Hustler Society's podcast. Roberto, if people want to get more of you, where should they go, social media wise?
Yeah, they can find me at Roberto Blake in Instagram and Twitter. I respond mostly in Twitter, but please follow me on Instagram as well. I'm going to try to do daily updates for creators over there, just candid thoughts. You can go to my YouTube channel. We post there every week, youtube.com/Roberto Blake 2. That is the number 2. I have several other YouTube channels, but don't worry about those right now. And and so also, if they want to work with me and they're taking this creator journey, they can obviously go to awesomecreatoracademy.com, and see everything that we offer over there. And of course, they are free to buy the book, Create Something Awesome Today, How Content Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy.
Awesome. All right, everyone. We're going to go ahead and conclude this episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can give this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. Very much appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. And if you're listening to us over on Apple or somewhere like that, if you could leave a review, that very much helps the show. Let us know your thoughts. With that being said, this has been your host, Elijah Bilel. Get out there, make that money, and we'll catch you on the next show.
This episode may be over, but your hustling journey has just started. Visit thesidehustlesociety.com to access all links and resources mentioned in the show that will help you on your hustler's journey.